Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we're just going to touch on something that I kind of felt like I had to do, which is my personal staple rules of being a parent. So my do's and do nots of being a parent. And I kind of felt like I had to do this because I've seen a lot of stuff all over the place on people's different people's opinions on what they think parenting is and what is wrong and all that stuff. So I felt like I kind of had to just jump in, seeing as how I have a kid of my own. He's not biologically mine, but I love him like he is. So I just kind of thought, well, you know, let's just put my opinion into the mix. So we're not going to waste any more time. We're going to jump right into these. But these are just my personal do's and do nots as a parent. Okay. So, the first one is, in any instance, you and your significant other, or, the other side of the parent equation, whether you're together or not, should stay united. And I don't mean stick together for the kids. I mean, in your decisions, you should be together. You should have the same outcome when it comes to decisions. So if it's no on cookies, it's no on cookies, whether you're asking mommy or you're asking daddy. Because divide and conquer, right? Like, kids are smart, first off, and they will learn that daddy's more laxative, so he's going to start going to daddy, or it could be a problem of, he said, she said, and there's more arguments between you and your spouse, or, whatever the case is. It's a constant rule in my life that if my stepson asks me, can I do this? It is a no from me and my fiance. It is no, well, daddy said I could do this, and blah, blah, blah. It is a, if daddy said no, then it's a no from me. So that's the first rule, just in my opinion. Okay. Second rule is try and be consistent. In any decision you make, in any rules that you make, anything like that, try and be consistent. Try not have irregular behavior, because first off, your kid won't know what to think. It'll be very confusing for them. They won't know if they could do anything without getting in trouble. Because if one day they're allowed to, have a snack after school, you're not there the next day to greet them. Well, last time it was okay for me to have a snack after school. They have a snack after school. You come home, find out they did, and it's not the same as 2 days beforehand. And you start giving them hell, they're going to be a little confused. They're going to start walking on eggshells around you because they won't know what to think or what to do, it's easier for everyone in the long run. Plus, it's easier to ingrain things into their brain. So, at bedtime is 10 o'clock. At 10 o'clock, no questions asked. Go brush your teeth. Go get your jammies on. Say goodnight. Off to bed. So if you're more consistent, even about bedtime schedules, if you're just every night, like some nights is okay if they stay up a little later. But, if, most nights it's, then okay. They'll, they won't, it's easier for them as kids. Like, I don't know how to explain that part. I find it easier if you're just more consistent in everyday things. Okay. So, the next one is, when talking to your kids, try and keep your temper as minimal as possible. Now, this is for a few reasons. First off, your kid is not going to listen to you if all you're doing is screaming, especially if they're older kids. When I was a teenager, if my dad was screaming at me, my head was in the clouds, because Why would I want to listen to somebody who's constantly screaming at me? First reason. Second reason is kids are followers, especially when it comes to someone that they look up to. So if daddy's always screaming, you know, if it's at them, if it's at, you know, their other, if it's at whoever, that kid's gonna pick it up and they're gonna start screaming. They're gonna start yelling, and, you know, because they think it's okay. Because if daddy's doing it, then it must be okay. Like, the same thing with swearing and all that stuff. So, like, try and keep your temper down. You know, like, be stern if you need to be stern, but kids are smart. And kids want to be like you, especially your kids. So, in all instances, try and just reason with them, because your kids will start to follow your lead and they will start picking up your habits, whether they're bad or not. So that's another one. A rule that kind of ties in with that is apologize if you get it wrong. So if you start freaking out at your kid because they had cookies and they didn't ask you, to find out that, you know, they're like, well, I asked daddy and daddy said it was okay. And then you go ask daddy and daddy was like, it was okay. He came and asked me. I told him that he could. Apologize to your kid. Now, I know as parents, sometimes we can have our head in the clouds when it comes to power, you know? Like, I'm the adult. I don't have to apologize if I don't want to. You know, pride. But if you show humility and empathy and all that good stuff towards your kid, remember, your kid follows what you do. If you show empathy and you show humility and you start apologizing when you're in the wrong, your kid's gonna pick that up, you know? So if you say, look, I'm sorry, I talked to daddy and he said that, you know, you were allowed to have cookies. I'm sorry, I didn't know. Next time, I will ask daddy before coming to you. There you go. Problem solved. And guess what? Later on in life, your kid's going to take that and he's going to learn from it, and hopefully they're going to do that. You know, if they get older and you guys get into a fight, you know, and he comes to you later and he's like, listen, Mom, I'm sorry. You know, I wasn't in the right for how I talked to you, and I want to, you know, make things good. It'll be beneficial. Plus, it'll just make things easier. Okay? So another rule that kind of ties into that is also hug. You know, at the end of every argument, let them know that they are still loved and just give them a hug. Doesn't matter how bad it is. You know, like, my kids could set my house on fire. I would be furious. But after that really, really stern talking to and lots of punishments, I would let them know that, you know what, Mommy is disappointed. Very disappointed in you. But don't you ever forget that I love you. I still love you. And I still care about you. And at the end of that sweet little sentence, you give them one of these. You give them a hug. Because kids are very sensitive. And I've learned that from personal experience. And if you're a new parent and you're watching this, take my word, always give your kids hugs. Now, people have different opinions on this, and that's fine. But my opinion is, I think you should always hug your kid, because it lets them know that, okay, well, daddy might be mad, but at least he still loves me. You know what I mean? Because sometimes kids can feel neglected, even if they are, you know, even if they are in the wrong, you know. Just try and do that, because, you know, it could also help, you know, for some parents who deal with really temperamental kids, it could also, you know, like, letting them know that they're still loved and giving a hug could help with the aftermath of this whole, you know, fight thing. They could be like, well, okay, and they could modify their behavior, and they could try to be a little bit, you know, more helpful with things. But let's keep going. So the next rule is try not to compare or criticize your kids. So if you have more than one kids, please don't compare them. Please don't pull the whole, you should be more like your sister. Don't do that. Oh, your brother does this. Oh, you should follow your brother's lead. All that stuff. I dealt with it as a kid, and it drove me nuts. So try and not compare your kids, because it can kill their self-esteem. It can make them feel bad. It can just tear your kid down. And as a parent, I know you want your kids to feel the best and be the best that they can. Now that also ties in with trying not to criticize your kid too much, because like criticizing and comparing, like, as an adult, if someone keeps criticizing you and criticizing you and criticizing you, you're just gonna not want to do it, Like, if someone keeps saying, you're not sweeping the floor right, you're not sweeping the floor right, you're not sweeping the floor right, well then fine, I'm not sweeping the floor right. I'm just gonna go and not sweep the floor anymore. So, like, try and keep that in mind. Try and be, try and get your point across, but do it in the nicest way possible. Because like I said before, kids are super sensitive, okay? Kids are super, super sensitive. Now, another one is, as parents, sometimes we feel like we have to be with our kids 24/7. Now, this is a personal parenting tip. Make sure you still have nights out, because you'll drive yourself crazy, my dear, always being with your kids. Now, don't get me wrong. I love spending time with my stepson, but you need a break sometimes, especially for those full-time parents who got 2 or 3 kids going on. Like, you can need a date night, a girls' night out, a boys' fiasco, like whatever you call it, you need it. So always try and prioritize, always just try and, make time for yourself, basically. Just make time for yourself. And that's a really big thing, okay? The next one, sorry, I wrote these all down. The next one is try and not to make too many deals with your kid. Now, why do I say this? So I know sometimes it seems like the easy way out as a parent, like, well, my kid's being ungrateful or they're acting up or whatever, and we're just kind of like, if you go brush your teeth, they'll give you 5 more minutes on the TV. On the TV, they usually do it, but kids are smart. Third time, kids are smart, and they will start expecting. So try and not to do that too much. Sometimes it's okay, but if you keep making deals with your kids, they're just gonna keep expecting you to make deals, and they'll keep expecting to get their way, or whatever. Just try not, because they will take for granted all of that, and they will start expecting it. Okay? You need to also just keep in mind that as a parent, okay, you need to also give them their space. So I know sometimes as parents we can smother our kids, okay? And that's great when they're little, but there comes a certain time in their life where you just gotta give them their space. And I know it's hard, but you know, let them be independent sometimes. You know, it's good to teach independence young because it makes it easier for them later on. So, your son really wants that new Transformer toy. Well, give them chores around the house. Teach them a little bit of responsibility. Teach your kids responsibility. Big, big, big. That is the biggest point I can make. Is teach your kids responsibility. Because if you don't, they're going to go out in the free world and they are going to crash and burn. I've seen it firsthand from friends, coworkers, just teach your kids responsibility young. Not 5 years old, but when they're 10, 11, start, implementing things. Cleaning your room, start teaching them how to do laundry, make them do some chores around the house, give them an allowance, so that when they see that new shiny Transformer toy that they like so much, responsibility, guess what? You worked for it, you can buy it. But it also teaches them that they only have so much money to work with. Teach your kids responsibility young because it'll make it easier for them when they get older, okay? So, allowances are a very good way to do that. So just try and teach your kids responsibility. Okay, one of my last rules is try and have meaningful conversations with your kids. So, try and, talk to them about, certain things. So, don't just have, stories and, conversations about, memes and butterflies and unicorns and, how their day was at school, but, try to have those conversations of, I love you, or, the really good talk, that I've had with my stepson is, doesn't matter who you end up with or who you end up being, I will always love you and I will always be here for you. Try to have those really meaningful conversations with them because it will manifest in them and it will build them towards being the best person they can possibly be, because I don't think people realize this, but when your kid knows that you love them, it can do leaps and bounds and miracles for them. It can turn them into a completely different person than who they could have possibly been, For me, I know personally, I would want my kids to be the best person they could be. Be a sweet, kind, compassionate, conducive citizen, just be everything that I would want for them instead of being, a rude, miserable, lonely delinquent, what you say and the things you do will always stay with your kid. So just try and have those meaningful conversations, try and make memories with them because it will shape them into the person that they are going to be later on in life. Okay. Another one is try and embrace their imperfections. Because, let's face it, doesn't matter what age you are going to notice your imperfections and your flaws, and you are going to really think on them. And especially with how cruel kids are today at school, it can be hard for them when they go to school. I know, my little guy is dealing with some stuff right now that isn't really helping with, the kids at school. And, it could be anything, the kids at school say I have weird teeth, well, no, you're just a beautiful, unique person, and I love you, and you are like nobody on this planet. Try and make them feel good, try and make them feel good about who they are, even if those kids at school or other people, make fun of them for it, let them know that you love them for it, okay? Try and make sure that they know that you know that they know that you love them. Okay? Be honest with your kids is the second last rule I'm gonna give you. Is be honest with your kids. If you think something isn't right, be honest. If you think, something isn't good, be honest. Honesty at a very young age can really, really help. Don't be cruel. Be honest. There's a difference. You don't have to be like, oh, well, that picture you drew, I don't really like it. But, Mommy, do you like my picture? I think it's very interesting. I don't know what it is. Don't be like, oh, like, do you know that it was a doggy, Mom? I did know it was a doggy. No, I didn't know it was a doggy, but thank you for telling me, just the little bits of honesty that you can show them really does help them, blossom into a better person. Okay. My last rule, and one of the most important things I have held dear. Teach them the value of family. Make sure they know that family is one of the most important things. Yeah, okay, your kid is young, you can still teach them. What I mean by that is, do stuff with them as a family, make them understand that family is important. Treat them good, make it known that they're always welcome, into your home, whatever age, whatever state, let them know that home is a safe place and that family is very important, and just let them know, make them understand. Like, whatever way you're gonna do it, just do it, but make sure they know that family is important. Now, I know I said that was the last rule, but this just popped to the top of my head, and I feel like I have to say it. But, okay, I promise this is the last rule, but for me, I think, yeah, okay, like, you need to make sure they know that family, family is important and that they're loved and all that stuff, but make sure that you have a good bond with your child. Make sure, try and make a very good bond, an inseparable bond with your kid. Not like crazy, like mama's boy bond, but like to the point of they can trust you and they can come to you and confide in you about almost anything. Because that is very important, because, for example, for me, if, let's say my daughter got, pregnant at 17, and she felt comfortable enough to come to me and tell me, hey, Mom, listen, I really screwed up, but I'm pregnant. And she doesn't feel scared about talking to me about that, and she feels comfortable, and she knows that she can trust me, that's when that ties in with family, just, that means a lot to, yes, you as a parent, but that means a lot to them as well, knowing that they can, they can talk to you literally about anything, that is very important, because it'll also make life a lot easier, and your relationship with your kids is so important, so important. So yes, the big rule of today, my big rule today is make sure that you have a great relationship with your kid. You know, sometimes things go sour, sometimes you guys will butt heads, but at the end of the day, make sure you guys are cool, because trust is gonna be big. Trust is a very big thing, you know? Even from when they're small, you know, Mommy, I did a bad thing. What did you do? I drew on the wall. Okay, well, thank you for telling me. You know, like, just make sure there's trust. Trust is very, very, very big. So, those are my go-to rules. Those are my staples. Those are my do's. You know, those are my do's and do nots. But those are my rules for parenting personally. I hope you guys liked it. I hope it hopefully helped some of you. If you guys have any, you know, different parenting rules that you guys stick to, or if you have any specialty rules or tricks or anything, please post them down below, and let me know what future videos you guys would like me to post. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and listening to me rant about parenting rules, and I hope you guys have a really, really, really good day. Okay, bye!